Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. Guys, MTV on this video today. We obviously had a big traction down on the chart for MTV over the last few weeks. Those that weren't familiar with why, we had the exchange of essentially CEOs bang on the last day of 2021, entering a new year with new leadership. So it's obviously been uncertainty. We'll go into the chart a bit more detail shortly. Nothing major specifically going on with MTV other than a couple of observations, in the sense that many people were saying that since the changeover, there's obviously a lot of disappointment when the announcement was made that the CEO Frank was departing, or the now the ex-CEO. And of course, since Sean's come in, and a lot of people are actually quite happy with that because of his element in communication and perhaps influence in marketing. And what I've seen, and this, take this with a bit of a pinch of salt in terms of a comment here, but certainly in the last few days, or at least actually since the beginning of the year, it's quite clear there is a initiative, if you like, for MTV to perhaps be more active, even more active than they already kind of were, in my opinion, on the likes of social media here, particular Twitter. So it's nice to see that. We've had the reaction, we've had the AMA, which we've covered a couple of videos back now as well. So in my opinion, taking the aspect of where we were at the beginning, literally right at the beginning of January, where there's lots of uncertainty, everyone was like, what's going on? I feel like a lot of people jumped out of MTV based on the comments that were made in that YouTube video in particular. And I totally understand that. Everyone's got the right to do what they think is appropriate based on their research, their thinking, and all of those kind of things. Absolutely no problem. But the reason I held on is because I'm like, well, hang on a minute. The project itself is continuing and accelerating. Albeit the roadmap has not been added for 2022 yet, but we know from the AMA that this is something that will hopefully be in play end of January, beginning of February, hopefully, for us to all take a look at. And I think we had some massive achievements with MTV last year in particular. I was quite new to MTV, maybe 3/4 of the way through 2021. And as I always say, fair play to those that got involved with MTV way before that. So you guys probably know a lot more than I do, but we've done the intro videos, done everything we possibly can to update ourselves, and also hopefully portray that in the videos that we do with you guys. But the point I'm making is the project isn't going anywhere. Its solution is still in demand and needed for the progress, in my opinion, of blockchain and technology in general, in cryptography and everything like that. The whole scalability aspect and everything that we talked about in those intro videos, the sharding capabilities, of course, and the phenomenal ecosystem essentially that it's building for all the different elements and factors of a system. And if they can continue the really good positive marketing and communication, I think communication is a real key thing. Like I said, because of the disappointing way that it perhaps came out, as we always said, if it's related to health and everything, absolutely 100%. You cannot argue with anyone's decision to leave a company or focus on their life and stuff like that. Okay, so you can't be angry about that. It's obviously frustrating from an investor's perspective and the space in general, but you have to deal with it. And I think the reaction has been brilliant from MTV, and particularly the leadership team that's now in place. And I'm seeing some positivity in the sense, the staking numbers are still rising. Even on some of the followers numbers on social media and stuff are gaining traction as well. So that's good for like the retail investor who are interested in the tokens, price points and stuff like that. But for me, yes, that's great. Of course, big help. But for me, more importantly, is the project itself. So likewise, in the last video, really looking forward to hopefully seeing that roadmap updated, or at least I'm sure they will do like some kind of interview or an AMA introduction to what's coming from MultiVac in 2022. And I think the confidence will definitely kick in even more so than it has been already the last few days. And on that note, let's jump into the chart. Smash the like button if you like what you hear and see. And do hit the bell button as well if you want to be notified of the videos when they are released. So what we're looking at here, guys, well, very much a nice response to the big tail down. Obviously, in many of the charts, many asset charts, we've had this correctional period going on round about sort of November time. Each one's a bit slightly different. This one in particular is more towards the middle or end of October when it started. Usually seeing around about a 3-month transitional process of that top end level down to the correctional period. We covered in the last video this drop down where we might think it would come back down to. We pretty much hit most of the markers, particularly around the area where it flowed here earlier in the year. I say early in the year, it was actually last year. But then we had the nice tail up, and then we had the announcement up here. So we anticipated we'd be coming down to these kind of levels again, and probably lower, to try and test the market and data points along that we saw here. So they've kind of come into play. That's ticked the boxes for us personally, Steve and I, for buying more. And let us know in the comments below if you took advantage of any of this correctional period. So we're buying quite a lot back down here, like this 1/6 of a cent. And I thought that was absolutely fantastic because for me, as I said, I was quite late to the MTV party and probably buying it very much around maybe like 1 cent or just over 1 cent, maybe 1.5 before we had the big uptake. So I was kind of thinking, well, have I missed out on the gains? But now we're back down here. It's almost like an opportunity where I've been able to really reduce back in time to something where really maybe the even earlier adopters than I were in that year of 2021 in that position. So I took the opportunity. It's paid off so far, even in these last few days. So obviously we've had the tail down. We've had, in terms of the indicator aspects, the big outflow, as we know. We had a nice intake back here, but then we had the announcement. And to be honest, in general, as I said, many people relatively panicking around that sort of 31st of December and 1st of January in this announcement period. But look at this. Obviously, we're tailing up. We had the reduction, but the volume was still in a positive aspect. And then the complete reversal of essentially overselling kind of thing was so minimal. And we've already switched back over. So that's obviously partly to do with the fact that we were probably bottoming out anyway. But then obviously had the tail up and the announcement. If the announcement didn't happen, I think we'd probably be on a rocky road for a bit and tailing up a bit quicker than we are now. So this is where we are. We've come back down right now to really interesting areas that we've been seeing historically back here. And this is around about where we said it would be getting to in the couple of videos ago. Go and check them out if you don't believe me. But we specifically pulled out this area. It did, to be fair, come down a bit more lower than this area that we thought. But certainly in line with where we thought it would go. And particularly in line as well with the lower regions of these fib retracements. So we didn't quite come back down to this one, but it's very much in the area that we thought. We're now taking up because of essentially people selling off, now thinking this is a very nice area of traction. And of course, then positivity comes in and we have this off. Right now, as a recording, literally, I set myself to do this a couple of hours ago. But as usual, missed out on the opportunity. And then we start seeing a bit of red. So that's anticipated. We had a very nice move. In fact, we're just going to really emphasize this little move. It's not going to be gigantic, but it's good enough to see an influx. So from the 10th of January, we have seen roughly a 60% increase in this move, which I think is phenomenal. Considering the circumstances that we've only had in the last couple of weeks. And what does that mean? Well, people are definitely going to be taking profit on those moves because, like me, for example, buying at 0.006 and you're just hitting over that 1 cent mark. Didn't quite get, I don't think, to the high of 1.2 or 12 cents. Sorry, not 12 cents, 1.2 cents. But certainly enough still for people to think, actually, maybe it's not going to round up and double up that position, but certainly near enough for us to take profit. So as of right now, we've got a little red marker there. We're still in a bullish momentum on the MACD down here. And the RSI, as we thought it would, going from those lower regions, way lower regions, especially on the 14-day and the 28-day, 26 and 35 respectively. Fast forwarding a few days later, we're now sat at 53 on the 14-day and 46. So 53 being very much middle ground. This is where you usually see a bit of stability and then a decision roughly in the next few days of, are we moving up or down? Now, what I do anticipate, which is why I've drawn this buy area in here, is a possible pullback down to measure ourselves back down to these areas that we saw here pretty much throughout most of December, and also traction points here. So beyond this point, very nice price discovery moments, over purchasing, and then we had the tail down. We had the tail down because we weren't quite ready to, or actually supposed to be up here. This is all a magnitude of, FOMO and just general money flowing in at that time. Now I think we could come back down to these potential regions that we see in this area at these lower points that we saw in December. And as mentioned, pretty much just under the radar of this fib retracement on the longer term. So that's why I put this area in. I'm really interested personally, not financial advice, but I'm putting some orders in at 0.0087-ish and slightly lower than that towards the lower region of the 1/8 of a cent. So we'll see if that comes in, but that's my thought process, because this move's been very healthy. It could arguably indeed get support back at this mechanism here. But for me right now is trying to see if we can get support where we are on this 1 cent mark. And if we can over the next few days, we could start tailing this up. Might see a bit of resistance here, maybe 1.3, 1.4 cents. And we'll have to consider that conversation maybe in about a week's time, where we hit these other regions of the fib retracement here on this chart. So as we said on the week, up 50%, up 5% on the month. As we said in the previous video, once this switches into a green on the longer term performance indicators here, even more confidence will come in. Loads of traders look at this kind of thing to see where the market is in terms of its longevity as well as the short term, and still really good positive numbers, albeit the year is in taking this drop, and we are now in positive on there as well. So my thoughts are, I'm going to be cheeky to try and grab a drop down if there is that possibility. However, I do generally anticipate that we get stability here and pull this up further, because MTV is a phenomenal project. I think everyone's going to be starting to get a bit more geared up, because we know in the AMA about the roadmap development and that hopefully being announced soon. I think people will start to be a bit more confident again. Still a bit cautious, but I liked this pattern. I'll revert back to this conversation before we wrap up, that this tail off was so minimal considering the impact of a CEO leaving and the situation and how quick it was and out of the blue to everyone. I think the damage limitation is probably down to the way they've dealt with it. They'd communicated initially after the announcement as such. And I think that's driving, and I think the community is getting more confidence in this project. Let us know what you think about that in the comments below. Are you still holding MTV? I'm sure there are many stakers out there in the comments as well. Let us know. Are you excited? I think the 1% rewards lockout's coming soon. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I'm sure you guys are excited to be obtaining that withdrawal. But yeah, they're going to wrap that up there, guys. We're going to check in on MTV perhaps Monday, Tuesday next week to see how this plans out and if we manage to get this drop down here. But yeah, very much looking to hopefully stabilize MTV around this 1 cent mark. Let's see if we can do it. Look at that. Ending this video bang on 1 cent. Let's go. We'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Thanks for watching, and bye bye.